And, you know, every man that sees this, that's been hurt with an affair, that is not ready to take ownership and responsibility for themselves and why the other rules were broken first, right? They're going to get on the social media and they're going to complain. They're going to bitch. They're going to say it's her fault. There's no excuse. Morals this, morals that. But at the end of the day, you still have to go. If you follow through with your boundary, which is the only reason you can make a boundary, or else she's going to disrespect you more. And she's going to bring two guys over. All right, Sean, you've been in the reset for a little while. It sounds to me like you want to start fresh. You want to start new with the reset. What's going on, man?
Yes, sir. And being in the reset for the time that I have, I've learned a lot. And now I'm with what I know now from when I started. I want to be able to fully apply the reset to become a Lord, to be a better Lord.
All right. So I know that you jumped into the reset. You're pretty involved with Lords, and I know that you're getting help from some of the mentors, but I haven't seen you on any of the calls. I haven't heard a lot from you. So is that part of the problem here? We're not fully engaged?
Yes.
Okay. So what do you think is the factor or factors that are holding you back from that right now, from being fully engaged?
My schedule has been up and down. And my wife has been home. She's been home more. So I've been and using the reset. I do wake up earlier in the morning to be able to go through some of the lessons, to go through the lessons. However, I have been attempting to implement them, and kind of at a stalemate right now.
What do you mean? Stalemate? What do you mean?
By stalemate, I mean I feel like from the knowledge that I have, I'm not implemented to the full potential that it could be used.
Okay, so do you want some tips, some strategies on how to make sure that you use the reset properly, the program properly? Would that be helpful for you?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So first and foremost, you talked about your schedule. That can be easily used as a reason or an excuse. Okay. So the only way to beat that is to actually create a calendar. Have you created a calendar? Even though your schedule changes, have you created a calendar for yourself?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Now, there's a couple of things. You can watch the lessons. You can listen to the lessons. So do you have a commute to work? Are you doing projects around the house at times? Are you, going to the gym like you're supposed to be? So you could be listening to this stuff too. Are you doing any of that?
Yeah. I'm able to, with my job now, I'm able to listen to the reset while I'm working.
Okay, cool.
And then, as I stated, I've been listening, watching the videos in the morning before work. And then I originally I had a little bit more free time where I could listen to the audiobooks that are suggested from the lessons for further knowledge. But I haven't been doing that.
All right, so it's only recent that I started giving all the resources that I love to support the reset. Okay, whether that's a book, whether that's a course, coach, whatever. What I want you to do is think more about undoing all the bad habits, all the programming, everything that we up to this day and age where you're at right now, by thinking about the reset first. So the guys that are the most successful, because we can't just learn something by seeing it or watching it, listening to it once or twice. Excuse me. The guys that are most successful, 10 times through, 12 times through. Just like when I read a book, I don't read it less than 10 times. Okay. And the reason for that is I learned from mentors down the road that in order to retain the information and actually be able to apply it, we need to actually know it. So audiobooks, I love them, but if you can find a visual copy and an audiobook, great. That's why I like when you're watching me speak, not just listening, but supporting with listening is totally fine if you're doing it other times. Okay. Taking notes. So one of the most successful lords got his wife back, right? When she was living with someone else. Okay. You saw Corey, right? So what he did was, and lots of lords are doing this now, he actually wrote a notebook out as he went along. All the things that stood out, all the things that he wanted to change. And so he constantly has this book that he flips through. or sorry, he constantly flips through this book that he created for himself, because no man has to fix everything. I mean, I was the worst, right? Okay. In general, you won't have to fix everything. So you take out the parts that you love and you have this book. And then as you go through the reset over and over and over again, you can add to it. Your thoughts will expand. Your story will change. Your dynamic with your wife will change. So you can modify, adjust, add to the book, the section. So don't just like stack your notes on top of each other. Leave spaces for sections. Okay. Now, along that line, the reason why it's so important is you can level up with, say we get you to know Mr. Nice Guy. I know you've already done that. I know it's a great book and I know why it's important. I know why it's in the reset. Okay. But it's not going to be as effective as just taking the highlights that I pulled out, because that's the center of the focus. Then we expand. Same thing if you were digging into masculinity. It doesn't really matter to go into the why of everything yet. I give you enough of the why with the reset, because the idea is to implement fast. Okay. So if you're struggling with that, take it down a notch and focus just on the reset. I took the, everything, 5 love languages, nice guy, masculinity, I took parenting, I put it all there so that it was easier for you. You didn't have to go read every book, hire every coach. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. You mentioned something about it's not as easy because your wife is around more. What did you mean by that? Meaning like she's in your space so you can't focus on doing the reset? Or did you mean you're struggling with your wife?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
So since she's been home and she stays home, we are basically glorified roommates.
Yeah, that part we knew already,
And
right?
well, we're for the last month and a half, she hasn't been home that much, but she started to come home.
Okay, so that's good. That's the first step, right?
Mhm.
So if we're already roommates, we need to go to the next step. But if we're not even spending time together, we go to the next step. So even if that's roommates, it's like when you start having real sex again. You don't just jump into real sex. First, typically, after a wife has not been sleeping with you, she would then go to, like, I want to be intentional. I don't truly have the desire yet, but I want to connect. And then from there, that turns into more desire. And from there, it turns into passion, right? So same sort of thing with the roommate zone or the friend zone. If we're not spending any time together, that's the first step. It's like when wives are moved out, we want to get them dating again, not move back in right away necessarily, right? Always the next step from where you're at. Sometimes we look so far ahead that we forget that the steps in between matter. Business is the same way. If I'm focused on 7 figures this year and I'm not focused on just getting the right quality of lead in, the men that I can actually help, well, then I'm not going to be helping them. So I'm not going to reach that goal. So sometimes we have to just take it down a notch. That's why the reset's broken down into sections, stacking the skills. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So you're talking about not being able to do as much with the reset because your wife is there. That's where purpose comes in, right? Man with purpose. So you leave. You don't have to be available just because she's home. And I know that that's hard because you're excited she's home, probably, right? But we want to make sure that we are the valuable dude. And so for right now, purpose is definitely reset, but you're going to be even using that time down the road for more purpose, right? And so when that's happening, we can't do that if we pull back. It's one of the biggest ways that men struggle with the reset and becoming a true Lord is they just stay home. They're available for their wife. They go back into man without control, right? And they're not in control of themselves. They're back into their nice guy. I'm available. I'm available. I'm available. So when you make your calendar, put purpose time in, and right now that might be reset, but you should also be focusing on some bigger projects, legacy, something, right? And you use that time, if you don't know what that is yet, to create the time. Okay. I don't know if you saw the bonus training on purpose that I just put into the reset a couple weeks ago.
I'm not sure. I just
you'll see it.
restarted purpose.
So at the bottom of purpose, it'll say bonus live purpose training. Okay. And
Okay.
it's what I did was I took guys through the journey of creating this because guys get a little bit lost, right? Because you're distracted when your wife is with you more, right? Because this is what you've been wanting for so long. But it's really important to understand all of these phases of the reset matter. The reason why purpose really matters is when you're a really valuable dude, you're a leader in life, you can talk about more with people rather than just your job and your wife and your kids. You've got something that matters, right? With you, we talked about, maybe potentially building computers for kids who don't have computers, right? Showing them how to do it potentially. Like there's little things that were exciting for you, right? While you're doing your IT training. Now, imagine when you're talking to people, even your wife, okay? You've got more to talk about and it's impactful, right? So this makes you valuable. Now, when you are spending time with your wife, you're able to specifically give high quality time with her. And so when you are a man at play and you're making her feel loved, valued, respected, seen and heard, right? She's like, whoa, like you're this valuable dude and you still prioritize me. It's true quality time. The compliments, the affirmations, the validation that is fixing some of the things that we've done from the fights, the things we've said in the fights and things like that, right? Now we understand why purpose is so valuable because you're like, wow, you still have time for me, for the way you're being a dad right now. Like you're a true partner and you're valuable, dude. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, this will be challenging because you're already focusing on the challenge of trying to implement the program, to use it, to watch the lessons again, right? So that's easy enough once you have the calendar in place. You just stick to it. What'll happen is down the road you won't need it, but let's use the gym for example. You're working out, and you don't have to have it in the calendar down the road. You just know you're going, and if you miss it, you're just going to move the time. You're just going to go a different time, right? Kids, another great example. You're spending time with the kids and you just didn't get a chance to do connection time with one of them. So that's okay. You know that you still have to do that. And so you're, I don't know, going to Walmart. And so you're like, hey, you want to come, Junior? And you go, right? And have a little adventure. And so for now, though, until we develop the habits, calendar, schedule it all, reminders on your phone, things like that. Okay. Lords. That's the other way to be successful with the reset, right? I know you're talking on the phone with mentors, but you need to be interactive. When you are teaching them, when you are listening to their stories, you start to realize the stories, all of our stories are a little different, right? Some are really bad. Some are really not so bad. Some are with affairs. Some are with abuse. Some are with toxicity. Some are divorced. Some are just different rooms. Some are in the same bed. The symptoms are all the same. The treatments are all the same. So when you start to identify that, say Kelly's saying something in there, right? Greg's saying something in there. Number one, they're in different spots than you, but you start to see symptoms, treatments are the same, and you start to give your opinion. You don't have to be correct because Lords will correct each other. We'll work together and figure it out. The idea is, say you said something wrong and it's like maybe Pete goes in there and goes, because Pete knows the reset in and out, right? Maybe he goes in there and he gives his nice long descriptions that he does, explaining everything. But he would also say, that's not bad, or I would try this on top of that. And when you start to do that, you start to reflect inward, Sean, and you start to go, fuck, I remember that from the reset, and I'm not doing that part right now, right? I could level this up for me too. So it's a very valuable and underused tool by Lords. I mean, I think it's 30% of the men that join the program go into Lords and actually use it, right? The other thing, of course, is the coaching calls. I'm guessing your work schedule has interfered with some of the calls now.
Yes. When I get home, that's I'm at work from 6 to 1, excuse me, 7 to 1. And when I get home, that's the time that I use with the kids. And, I take them outside, I get them lunch and get them together. And then by the time 2 o'clock rolls around, because I'm Eastern, um, I'm just outside with them. And, it's the kids' time.
All right.
I've
So
been,
just simple enough. Don't go too far here. Simple enough. In your calendar, one day a week, pick one recording and watch it. It doesn't matter which one, Okay. And just
Okay.
pick one. If something does stand out to you from the timestamp, then grab that one. Just one day a week, because we're taking the reset on those coaching calls and we're applying it in Lords in the community and on those coaching calls. And that's another reason why it's so valuable to use Lords. It's like the Q&A session from the course, right? That's why we do 6 calls a week. I want you guys to be able to be more real time with everything. Okay.
Oh, I have had one problem come up. Um, I actually was able to join the Zoom call yesterday, or both of them actually.
Yes.
And recently, I've been feeling, uh, because my wife has, she started to withdraw, even more, into the affair. She, uh, last week she came home and I had to admit, it was kind of a no tone, because I wasn't talking to her. I didn't have anything to say to her. Um, I just I had gotten to a point where I felt detached, and she had asked me about it because women can sense energy. Me and my wife have actually been really big about that. We can actually sense each other's moods a lot of the times. She asked me what was wrong, and I told her I had a weak moment. I lost my control, and I answered honestly. I kept my composure, but I told her that I felt like you chose another man over me, and it was I didn't have a lot of we didn't have a lot of time for the conversation. It's just I lost, like I said, I lost my control,
Yeah, well, it's
and
good to recognize that you lost your control. Make sure if you do share, like sometimes we have the urge, and I'm not saying we can never. I just advise that we hold, but it's not. I feel like it's. I feel lonely. Just give the truth, and then be a player. When she's like, "What are you talking about? She's doing whatever." Be like, "Well, I think we all understand the situation, babe." Like, just be real. Indisputable fact, feeling. That's it. Okay.
okay. And another thing is, and speaking with Nick, he told me that we're kind of already doing it, but I needed to speak with you about setting up putting a better plan in place, for myself.
Better, a better plan for what, bud?
Just because of the way things have been going. And talking with Nick, uh, because she's still in the affair and it's been getting a little bit more serious. Like I said, she's been out of the house more. Um, and just recently, after our conversation, which I was just alluding to a little bit ago, she actually has made the decision to be home more, but she's still
Mhm.
seeing, still having the
All right.
affair.
So here's the thing. If the very first thing we're talking about is I'm not using the reset, well, that explains why she's seeing the guy more, right? That's why she's still seeing it. She like the only men that get their wife back are men that show up and knock a wall down and start the connection back again, that become a valuable dude and then prioritize their wife, right? Go on dates. And if she's not going, you're going anyway. Like the whole reset, only men. Like if nothing's changed, really, right? What happens, Sean, is you just piss them off, right? So if you're listening sometimes, if you're in control, you said you lost control. If you're in control and you're not taking, you're out of control, you're not taking responsibility for yourself, you lose your power, you lose your control, you bring the no tone. This is all the same sort of stuff that made her want to go connect with someone in the first place, right? And so you own that when you came into the reset. So now you need to own it again. If I haven't changed, well, then she hasn't changed. I'm supposed to be leading her, right? And the number one way we lead is the tone, the energy, the morale, the mood, right? Because that's the reason she's looking for something else, right? If she's not feeling connected, she's looking for a connection, right? So I need you to right now actually just own it. I need to regain my power, take responsibility. It's not really about the plan. We kind of already covered that. You need to go through the reset, do the homework again, listen to it more, implement it, right? And so think about when we talk about the notes, right? So let's say we're going in there and we're taking responsibility. So we go, when we're releasing our wife, in your notebook, you're like, okay, I need to own the fact that I wasn't showing up as a man, husband, father, leader, and she went for that dopamine rush, or she went to feel seen and heard somewhere else, right? Let's take it down to a physical level, which is not usually the case, but let's take it down a physical level. She went because I wasn't showing up as a man, right? Being assertive. If you think about the magnet, right? The polarity, right? So what I want you to understand is if you can go through, it's not really about a new plan. It's about going through the reset and taking each step. Don't rush through it, right? Take each step, take each section, each lesson, and think and apply it. I'll give you another example. In Man with Impact, when I talk about sharing feelings, well, when you go through that, think about when you lose control. And I say, I feel like, and instead of saying, wait, if I want to communicate, I need to do it this way. I feel lonely. And use the indisputable fact. I'm just not connected. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing like that doesn't emasculate you. That doesn't make you a sissy. That's called communication of feelings, and it's real. I just don't love it until we've let her feel. I want her screaming and blaming you for why she's having an affair. I want you to be able to handle it. The anxiety training for Man with Impact. Allow that so that she can respond, you can respond and show her it's a safe place, right? And this wouldn't matter, man. This wouldn't matter what it is. If it's her kicking the balls, if it's her getting a divorce, if it's her screaming at you because you're a pussy, you don't make enough money, I don't really care. The idea is to let her feel. When we get disconnected and we build a wall, then the only way to take the wall down is to let her know she can count on you as a man. The shoulder to cry on, the rock, the house on solid foundation. All of these things are real. Does that make sense?
It does. That brings another question to my mind, which is um, when I am creating a safe space for her, to be honest with you, I don't really know what is. She comes to me with when she does open up to me. She talks to me about a lot of different things, problems that she has with her with family, but she also comes to me about this guy.
Yeah, well, I would personally say I don't need to hear about the guy. Okay. And
Okay.
if it goes down the feeling road there, it'd be like when you speak about and that's only if she asks, right? Because that's clear. You don't need to hear about this guy, right? But if she does ask, well, to be honest with you, I don't like it. You didn't have to go with the feeling there. It's not necessary. You know what I mean? And I think I heard from Nicholas, you're thinking about like, I really want to lay a boundary. Was that true?
He suggested it, but he also said that I really need to talk to you before doing something like that because
Yeah,
I'm
just
not.
don't. She's not going to give a shit. She's not. You can
Yeah.
say, unless you're prepared to end it all right now, you still have to own you. You still have to go through the reset with or without her. You still need to show up and learn how to change your cycle. They say repeat cycles. No, cycles get worse with every rotation. And so no matter what, we need to learn how to deal with the anxiety. We need to learn how to take control of the nice guy. We need to learn all these different steps that you continually struggle with. And if we get to boundary, she's not going to care. And so you need to be prepared to find a new place or find her a new place, come up with custody agreement, all of these things to actually enforce your boundary, right? That's why I call enforcing boundary in a safe reaction. Because most of the time, you're just trying to justify and defend. That's what enforcing means. And you're not actually going to use your boundary, right? So, I get it. You have a terrible situation when it comes to affairs. It's not even the normal. It's disgusting. Bringing that guy over and blah, 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 talking to you about it. And, every man that sees this, that's been hurt with an affair, that is not ready to take ownership and responsibility for themselves and why the other rules were broken first, right? They're going to get on the social media and they're going to complain. They're going to bitch. They're going to say it's her fault. There's no excuse. Morals this, morals that. But at the end of the day, you still have to go. If you follow through with your boundary, which is the only reason you can make a boundary, or else she's going to disrespect you more. And she's going to bring two guys over. Right? It just doesn't matter. You have to follow through. And regardless, when you do follow through, you can't enter the next relationship without mastering these skills. Right? I mean, even in the beginning of the call, you said, yeah, I'm even trying to read the other audiobooks, listen to the other audiobooks, read the other books, trying to learn more from the stuff that you teach, which means you know you need to learn it. Right? And you're one of the fortunate men that are in the program that is learning. But we need to implement. So I totally understand where Nicholas would be coming from, because there is one thing that we need to maybe consider. If you can't continue to implement properly because she's distracting you, because the affair is distracting you, then you do need to lay a boundary. She's an anchor. Because this is, remember, a boundary is for you, right? If you want to grow and you can't focus because of her terrible things, you can take all the responsibility in the world, but you need to also take responsibility for your success. If I'm going to be successful, I need to remove everything. So that is one possibility for motivating with a boundary, right? But remember, we're motivating with a boundary. The goal is to save the marriage. The goal is to take responsibility for all the rules that I broke in the marriage that caused her to break the cheating, the moral code, the infidelity boundary, rule of marriage. Does that make sense?
It does.
Now, are you prepared to actually end it all?
No,
And
I'm not.
do you still agree that you want to level up and take responsibility for the things that you've done that, again, not necessarily your fault, man? We're all shown these terrible examples of how to be a man, right? So if you still agree, do you agree that maybe it's time to focus on using the reset, becoming a Lord, rise up, lead in your home? And if she doesn't follow, then we can definitely ask. We can definitely motivate with a boundary.
Yes.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Okay. So if that's the case, then we just go back to what we talked about. We literally rise up, implement the reset, take your notes, focus deeply. What was I missing? Why am I falling off track? It's very easy to make excuses, but call them reasons. I'm working a lot. My shifts don't allow it. That's my time with the kids. Like, remember, if you give the quality time that you need to at work, you don't waste time, right? If you give the quality time with the kids, with your wife, don't waste time. Then when you're a valuable dude and you're implementing all the reset in all the different areas, then the quality time might be less, but it's worth so much more. Okay? Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Because it really is as simple as that. Like you have 4 kids, right? So, I have 4 kids. Like, you could use that one every single day. Right? You only have 3, Cass, right? You just can't. It's just, you deal with what we're dealt, right? There's a reason why sometimes I work until 2 a.m. after everybody's gone to sleep, right? So that I can get more stuff done, right? And so
Yeah.
what sets lords apart who truly get this is we do what it takes. It's not necessarily what's fair. It's what works. And remember the end goal. When you guys are a team, and I hope it's your wife, man, but when you do become a team with somebody, okay, then it's not going to be so much work. You're implementing because you're leading her. She's communicating to you different. She's planning dates with you. She's worried about the tone in the home. Hey, baby, I'm at 20% today. Can you help me a little more? Babe, I'm an 80. I got you right now. You know what I mean? And that's the way a partnership works. You each have strengths, and you lift when the other one has a weakness or is feeling weak that day. First, our job is to show up so she can count on you. Then we get to that stage. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Do you have any questions right now that you need to be clarified?
No.
All right. So actionable steps, schedule, put the time in, everything, absolutely everything. It's daunting at first, but then when you start moving things around, you get used to it. It's pretty straightforward. Okay. Notes when you go through the reset. Okay. Totally cool if you're not making notes while you're listening. Obviously, that's different. Right. And then I want you to really focus on implementing everything. Like literally put in Lords where you're making a mistake, where you did good, where it's a win. Okay.
Okay.
Get clarity on the actual implementation of it. Join the calls when you can, but at least schedule 1 day a week where you're watching a recording, where you're hearing real time stories of implementation. Okay.
Got it.
Okay. And then the last thing is, on Mondays when we do the live training on the reset with Q&A, you can also ask for stuff that's hard for you, stuff that's questionable for you, not sure how to implement, right? And I could do a training on that. Okay. Otherwise, usually I go and say, what do you guys want? I was thinking about doing this one or this one, right? It's totally cool if you guys ask for it, right?
Okay.
Deal?
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Last thing I want to tell you is this. Whenever we think about boundaries, it's because we're hurting. But we don't want to use boundaries like that. We never actually want to get to the boundary stage. I want your wife to be like, damn, he's so awesome. I just want to follow and lose this other guy. That's from inspiring and leading. Okay. Then we can always get to that ass stage if we want. And we'll stay in the ass stage as long as we can be in the patience formula. So keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
We never want to use a boundary because boundary means we're changing it all. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, brother. All right. I'm going to let you go. And I hope you have a really great day. We'll talk soon. Okay.
All right.